As someone who is in the early stages of their author illustration career, I think it's safe to say it's really confusing about trying to get feedback. There are so many terms about mentor, coaches, agents, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. Like, what are the differences? How to approach them? How to navigate that relationship? Do we need to do everything that they say? Is it really needed within the publishing industry? I got you covered. I interviewed Lucie Luddington from the agency Luddington Creative, who represents authors and illustrators. Just for context, I actually met Lucie at Bologna Children's Book Fair, which led to mentoring sessions. Now, I talk about the experience and what I learned in this video, but for now, let's get straight into the interview.
I'm Lucie. I'm the founder and agent at Luddington Creative. It is an agency that is built on representing artists and authors who are unique in their approach, their style, and really sing from their heart, rather than what society and industry wants. I've always believed to agent from my senses, and when I find my artists and my authors, it's from a place that really comes, that inspires goosebumps, and then I think if I get that goosebumps moment, then that's when I sign them. My name is Lucie with an IE. For any of those that ever write to me, it's the one thing I always like correct, so please take note.
I read so many things about coaches and advisors and consultants and agents, and it's like, so I'd love to hear from your terms. Like, what are the differences? What roles and services do they play out? Like, what is the difference?
um, a coach or a mentor, it's someone that is going to encourage you to develop your style, to hone your skills. And if we take it out the context of art and look at a sports person, I feel like if I was a gymnast, a coach would be making sure my stretches got better, making sure my leaps onto the pommel horse were perfected. It's the same with a sort of mentor or a coach in illustration. They're always looking for little ways that they can shape, assist, and support your artwork and you to grow as an artist.
When I was doing my little search as well, they were saying that mentors, they don't get you shouldn't really need to pay for a mentor, but whereas with a coach you do need to pay for one, and there's like a certain service or like a program that they need to go through. But then when I actually research, say, illustrator department, they
Hmm.
use the term mentor, and that's paid for. So does it go, is it more about just, it's just the language, like?
It, it's so life is a language, isn't it? That's how I see it. And it's how you as an individual, what one individual wants out of one mentor is very different from what one individual wants out of another mentor. Um, I think the value that a mentor can give uh, is something that you would exchange in terms of financially. I feel you are then invested into it. I feel there's a lot of people out there that give advice because it makes them feel good, but they don't actually have the credentials to back it up. Um, and I would say I would, for someone, for example, if I was looking to pursue, again, just using sport because it takes it away, just looking to become better at, say, running, I would rather pay a mentor who I know had the credentials and the quality, and then I feel I'm absolutely invested in that in order to get me to that next level. Um, it's tricky with a coach thing. Um, a coach feels a little bit more like, yes, come on. I think a mentor feels softer, but for me, I see them as intrinsically the same thing. I think it's just different languages, different ways across the world we look at. I feel coach would almost be something less European. A mentor feels more European. A coach feels less European.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's personal opinion. But yeah, we all need a good mentor or a good coach in our life at some point.
And then how about like advisors and consultants? Is that like a different kettle of fish as well?
I feel like a consultant, if you were an illustrator and you were looking for a consultant, it depended on what field of consultancy. Is it that you're looking for someone to hone your writing? So a writing consultant. Is it that you're looking for someone to hone your understanding of how to be a viable and financially lucrative artist? Is that then a financial consultant? Yeah, consultant does feel more business end of it, but I think again, in this world, we have so many different parameters for words and what they mean. It's just down to the individual. The difference then with an agent is the business end. An agent is your salesperson. An agent is your chairperson. An agent is championing you. Ideally, if you can get an agent that is your chairperson and your business person, then that's when you're winning. And each different agent approaches things differently. But I would say, both have really important value. And if you start with a great mentor and have a really good foundation with that person, they will then get you to a stage where by the time you have or acquire an agent, you are ready for the business end. And that's what an agent looks after. An agent should be encouraging, they should be inspiring, and they should be nurturing. Um, they obviously are going to have a commercial interest at heart because the foundation of an agent is to help bring an artist to a point where they are becoming financially rewarded for the art that they're putting out there. One of the things that we all talk about is making sure that an artist or creative in any creative field is being paid the value for what they are producing. For example, you wouldn't say to a painter, "Oh, paint my wall," or a plumber, "Do my plumbing," and expect him to say, "Oh, that's 50 quid." You would want to pay them for the time they gave you. Equally, the same is true of an artist, and that's where an agent can really, really take it next level, because they're going to look at what your artwork is, they're going to look at who to partner you with, they're going to look at which publishing houses, which advertising agencies, which editorial companies are going to be the best fit. And it also doesn't just come down to money. In fact, it's not just about the money. A good agent should be looking at personality type, because if you're matching an artist or an author with a sort of an individual at a company, and they're not going to really gel, that might be fine at the start of a project, but actually, you want that partnership to work. Sometimes a client and a creator can be working for 2 to 3 years on a project, so it's much more than just signing a deal and doing a job. It's about actually thinking, how are these two individuals going to work together? How is this individual going to work with my client? How is this individual going to work with that client or that group of clients? So, an agent role is so much more than people just think. It's spotting talent, it's nurturing talent, it's finding the right point where to get an artist ready to put up on the site. It's then giving the artist enough space and time so when you come to them with a job, they have that moment of, oh yes. It's being their chairperson, it's being their financial person, it's being that person when they have a moment of self-doubt, you give them that belief and that pushes them to that next level.
So it's a lot of nurturing as well, and I guess it's also the network that you've built and the people that you've known that you're going to be bringing to the.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something, when artists are, I mean, I'm getting sort of over 70 submissions a week at the moment, which is nuts. And people are saying, we've heard you're really nurturing and you have some really lovely clients. And I'm like, well, that's great, but those clients are people that, I know and I nurture, and I've just been to so many meetings in America, the time and thought that goes into making those relationships. And when I'm meeting a client, I'm instantly thinking of certain artists that I represent that would work well with them. So yes, when you're signing with an agent, that's like the golden ticket, because there is a beautiful book there of souls that agent has curated, that once you're up and working with that agent will be sending you out to, and that is next level in terms of an artist's career.
So would you say that an agent is definitely an advantage, but is it also a must as well?
No, no, absolutely not. And people often, other agents sometimes go, oh no, that's a bad thing to say. No, it's not. You know, an agent isn't for everyone. There are artists and authors and, actors and everybody. There's a whole world of creatives out there that, you know, are perfectly capable of going out there and getting work themselves and do and prove how brilliant they are. I would say having an agent is more like, do you want an extension to your family? And if you think, yeah, that extension to your family, it's your business family. An agent allows you the space as a creative to do your creation. They take all the added bits out. I would say an agent probably isn't for people that are total control freaks because when
Mm,
you have an
yeah.
agent, you've got to impart a certain amount of trust. If you
Mm,
don't have trust, it's not going to work.
mm,
Because you have to trust that your agent has your back and is going to do the best by you, and you have to allow yourself to let go of certain things and accept that your career is now in the hands of your agent, and your agent will do everything in their power to absolutely make it work for you. But if you're there that's emailing, and this is where I speak up for, the world of agents, and
please
there's
do.
some incredible agencies out there, and I have great admiration for them all. You know, if you're emailing your agent every day saying, oh, have I got any work yet? And yet your agent has given you 5 rounds of development and you've not responded to one email. That's not going to help your case. You know, one of the fundamental things that I look for in someone, including talent, is reliability and work ethic. Those are fundamental. You can be the most talented creative in the world, but if you don't pick up your agent's email, if you aren't open to development, then I would suggest an agent is not for you.
Mm. And then also you hear like when we're trying to submit things to publishers, some publishers don't even want to see you until you have an agent as well, right? Or
That's that's absolutely true. Um, there are, but not all publishers. Um, I would say a huge percentage will only take agented creatives. But again, if you're dogged in your approach and you're determined, never say never, because that manuscript can pop on someone's desk and they're unagented and it becomes the next big thing. But I would say if you really, really want to get into being published and having a solid career with the right credentials, the right support, um, the right advice, an agent is the best option.
mm, as a creative, like how can we best prepare ourselves and for any type of mentorship? So, is there anything to like? Is there anything that we can do or ask ourselves when looking for mentorship or guidance?
Uh, be honest with yourself first. When you approach anyone for mentorship or being represented, we are very good at seeing fake. So if you are coming to us as a dressed up version of yourself, you will soon get found out. I would much rather you present yourself in your most honest version of Jenny and say, do you know what, Lucie, I'd really love you to be my mentor, to be my agent, but I'm rather nervous about this and I'm not quite sure about this. That is a far better place for us to start our work partnership than you coming to me going, yeah, I've got, because, and then us going backwards because A, I'll see through it. And B, if I do get you a project with a publisher, if that unravels itself, not in front of me, but the publisher, that could put your project in jeopardy. So, honesty, right? Own yourself, be yourself. That also extends to your artwork. The amount of times that people are doing stuff and actually it's not really directly theirs. If your style needs developing, that's great, but don't rip off other people's styles. That's a really big thing. You know, it's better that you take 2 to 3 years to get to where you are and find your style than think just be a carbon copy of something. Something everyone says to me about the creatives at Luddington Creative is they're all so different. And that's because I do not want my artists competing against each other. I would rather have a sold out waiting list than have artists competing against each other. And that goes back to when you're presenting to a mentor, to an agent, or to a consultant, going back to whatever we call all these souls, present your most honest work. So present the work that comes naturally to you. Don't present something that's taken you a year and is a one off, which I've had before, and it's beautiful, but you get a project for that artist and they can't recreate that work. You've got real problems. And that then, puts doubts for your whole career in the industry, excuse me. I would also say always show workings, always show some roughs. Again, it's the process where often the magic happens. People talk about, the end of the journey, the reward. Well, many then say, well, no, it's all about the adventure. I'm so about that with the adventure. It's like with the agency that I'm running, Luddington Creative. I'm so much enjoying the adventure of the agency evolving, and although I've got goals and visions for it, enjoy the journey of it. Enjoy the journey of creating a rough of a scene and present that, because that's often where the magic happens. When an agent or a mentor sees, a little dragon as the subtext, and actually the dragon is where the picture book is about to start. So give enough space for people to use their own imagination. And also be reliable. If you're going to book a meeting with a mentor, make sure you turn up early, have your stuff ready, make sure you've got your tech right. I'm a great one, I admit I'm not the best technical person, but I always go above and beyond to try and make sure I do everything correct because of that. So swat up on the things that you're not really good at so you can become better.
It's really about understanding yourself in such a deep way that you know how you're gonna be working. What makes you happy? Because I've been exploring style, like art style. That's one of the things as a when we're starting, it's like, what is the style? And the answer you get is draw more. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to draw more. I want to tell me to structure. Like, give me something to have a guide on. And what I found is the art style, it is being you, but it's being so you that it's the things that you just naturally fall upon. You're
Yeah.
experimenting, you're using what it is in here, bringing it out. I need to make another video about art style. Like, there's just too much to go into, but
So throwing that quickly to you as hosting this chat. I mean, what if I was interviewing you, what would you say you had an art style? What would you say? Oh, Lucie, actually, or is there something you're passionate about drawing? I always think of your little soul with the hot water bottle piece that I call it that we
yes,
first chatted about.
yeah.
That's what I see as your style.
I think. Have you heard of the Ira Glass quote?
Yes.
So the taste is over here, and then our skills are over here. So that skill is never really hitting my taste. And then when I found it is the action, my taste grows. So you're actually doing this,
Yeah.
and you're never really going to hit your taste because it's just forever growing, just like your skill. And I've really learned to enjoy the process. But I think for me, personality wise, it's really important that I know and feel confident inside what I'm doing. So that's when I started to learn technicals or fundamentals in the beginning. I was like, but what is it that I want to say? What am I drawing about? And that's when I went to Discover, took courses, good ship illustration, shout out. But
Yay.
and I generally they help me find my confidence. Like, what is it inside? So that's internal. And now, doing mentorship with you, it's really helped me figure out, like, okay, these are the things that I want to draw, but I can't get there. Why? And that's because I don't know how to fix it. I don't have the fundamentals and the draftsmanship that I want to be able to be like, okay, that's a value thing, that's a perspective thing, and how can I make it believable? How can I make it more dynamic, less flat? How can I make it, because storytelling isn't just the image as in what's actually happening. There's color, there's playing with the ratios, and
nuance, perspective. There's so much subtext.
And another shout out, SVS Learn. Like, I'm going to be sharing what I was drawing like before I took the course, and then 1 month afterwards when I took the course, and the difference, and everything is starting to click now. So I do believe to make an illustration, it's not just yourself play, but it's also understanding the draftsmanship and merging them together. But the draftsmanship is not, you're just learning the rules. And I think what really blocked me from, say, master studies, the fear of copying. It's like, oh my God, can't do that. Like, I want to find what was originally me, what's me? And it's something really clicked after taking their course, as well as doing some work on mindset, is musicians, they have to start somewhere. Study classics, nursery rhymes, understand the arpeggios, and the notes, and that's the fundamentals. And then they bend the rules. Whereas it feels so shameful in illustration to do that, but actually I see it more now like a genuine study, just like how all the other crafts that you get in the other talents, like they have to learn the basics to be able to bend the rules and then mix it with their own thing. And by doing a master study, even just a section, it's like, this is how they kind of got to it. And what is it that I like about it? Does it suit me? Is it the line? Is it the color? And understanding the psychology of how that works. And then whatever sticks, and that's where you just need to keep on making and then figuring out what is it that I enjoy. So I'm really enjoying the process now.
Hey, it's Editing Jenny over here. I realise my answer is a bit hazy. Do I think I have an art style? And in summary, no. I haven't figured out exactly what it is that I am consistently drawn to yet. And I was in the progress of figuring out what actually sticks. And that would mean doing a lot more experimenting and less thinking and more doing. It's almost like our hand has a brain of its own, and you can formulate it in your head like, oh, I like mixed media, soft and bold, but what does that actually look like? And until you really feel it, that is when you start recognizing the pattern of your hand and not necessarily what you think you like.
So on that, I'm just going to go, this is still on topic, but you ask about what agents and mentors and people in publishing looking for new talent. One of the things about you, Jenny, that I remember is your dogged determination. I was doing some folio reviews, and I would see you all day out of the corner of my eye, and you would pop over, and I was like, this lady is absolutely brilliant. She has not left my side all day. And you did it in such a beautiful way that you were trying to be really respectful, but would it be possible? Would it be? And I thought, oh my gosh, I am going to go over to this lady and say, when do you want a folio review? Because your energy was next level. And that is a creator of making things that happen. It's all energy. So much of what we do in life, without going too much into my thoughts on this, is about if you give a good energy out, you get a good energy back. And although you were dogged in your determination, you weren't rude with it, you weren't pressurizing. And I thought, there's something magical about that lady.
Oh, thank you so much, Lucie. Yeah, I think it's, I think it is in my nature to learn. I love learning, and I don't think we ever truly stop, but I almost want to. All this build up is actually more confidence. It's more building that and making sure that I can produce when we need to. What ideas do you have? I just want to put it all in. But thank you. How do we find like a mentor that's a right fit for us? So what do we need to consider and research when looking for guidance? Like,
I wrote myself some notes.
Yeah, please do.
So I didn't go off topic, and I've gone off topic. I do apologise to all the listeners. How do we find a mentor? Listen out to the people that you respect. Watch. So if you see that someone's appearing that you admire in terms of their craft and creativity in a certain place, and someone else is linked to them, there's bound to be a mentor thrown in there. So if you're, for example, on Instagram and you're seeing that, shout out to the Good Ship illustration here, you're seeing that people are doing well and they've all been through the Good Ship illustration program. That's a box to tick. That might be an avenue. If, for example, you're looking for someone who will help you editorially, and there's a great editorial mentor out there that keeps getting shout outs, that's selling something. I wouldn't always go by who's got the fanciest web page or who's got the fanciest design, because quite often they're probably spending more time on doing that than they are getting to the bottom of how they need to help you. Um, and also, there has to be an element of likability. You know, you don't want to be mentored by someone that makes you feel like you're four again, you know. And if you get a whiff of that, I would stay away from them.
Big alarm bells, red flags. Yeah, and I guess on that note, that's why I also feel, oh, what is it that I need to learn? I think it's also another reflection, right? Like, who am I? What's my personality? And how can we gel as well?
But so on
Yeah.
that, so Jenny, knowing you for a while,
Yeah.
I would also accept in a lovely way that you're always going to be someone that asks questions, because that's what makes you you. Accept that you're not gonna not ask questions, because that's also, so if I was pairing you with a publisher, I would be like, brilliant, we've got Jenny on board and we're going to create this lovely book together. And I would actually turn it in on itself and say, so just so you know, Jenny's going to probably send you about 1 million questions and they're all going to be adorable. And actually use that as a strength rather than a weakness.
Yeah.
Because we don't want you to change your approach, because that's what makes you lovely and brilliant at what you do.
Thank you. I just want to be clear. That's what it is. I think it's a bit of my background. It's like, well, if I don't ask, I'm not going to be able to create the best I can. So,
Whereas that's where I would say we're probably quite opposite, because I regularly make an absolute wally of myself, because I'm like, because I'm quite often very wrong because I maybe don't ask too many questions, but I enjoy that discovery side, you know. That there's a lot when you don't know what you're going into, and actually the discovery is that light moment.
which kind of goes on to our next question, which is, should we listen to everything our mentor says? So how do we handle, like, we show something, they give an opinion, we don't really like it. What is that? How do we deal with that? Do we just go for it, or do we just do our own thing?
We wouldn't be human if we liked everything that everybody says to us. And I think it's really important to think why, not say, oh God, that shocked me, I didn't like that, but think, why didn't I like that? How does that make me feel? And what would be my response? And if you feel comfortable, I would actually say, oh, do you know what? I really appreciate your opinion, but I'd be interested to share mine so we could have an open discussion about this. I think one of the things in life these days is there's too much that's left unsaid, and people are too quick to assume rather than have the conversation. I'm a great one. Rather than sending an email, I'll pick up the phone. It's the same. So say you're with your mentor, they've said something you don't necessarily agree with. I would go back to the mentor and say, hey, that's a great point. I'd really like to know where you're coming from with that, because actually I feel totally the different. And I'm not sure where I stand on this, and I'd like to learn from this. So I think, yes, question it, but just don't do it in a bullish way.
Yeah, and I think also that's why it's really important for illustrators or creatives, or the author, writing, drawing, to have that confidence and to have that transparency and to have that relationship, because otherwise it's gonna be a hard ride, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's also going to boil up.
yeah.
You're going to be sat there having your mentorship, thinking, "Oh, I don't think they've got my back," and that then translates to, say you're working with an art team at a publishing house, and they've told you to change the tail on the bunny rabbit, and you're in your head thinking, "Don't want to change my tail on my bunny rabbit," and you have to. That energy is going to go into that book, and you don't want that energy going into that book. So it's far better to be open, but just we and I do think we need to be grown up enough to actually accept that we're all going to have different thoughts and opinions. So yes, that's my thought on that.
Yeah, collaboration,
Yeah,
compromisation, right?
strengths and weaknesses as well. Yeah.
So if you do find a mentor that you love, so what is the best approach? You gave my embarrassing point of pulling my chair and sitting down and being like,
No,
okay,
it's
I'm learning here.
so no, and I wouldn't, you're an absolute star, and I think your approach is not embarrassing. I think it's you. I think it's lovely, and
Thank
you
you.
got my attention because I just thought, wow, this lady is so determined, and I have to admire that. You showed courage.
Thank you.
You showed courage. I would say once you know who it is, I would find the appropriate contact. So let's say, for example, an email. I would open and just find something that you can have a mutual opening conversation. So, uh, for example, I saw that you enjoyed, maybe they like a piece of music or something that they've mentioned, maybe a piece of art or an art show. I saw that you went to the art show last week. I would welcome the opportunity for you to be my mentor. Here is a little bit about myself. This is a piece I don't feel so confident with. This is a piece I do feel so confident. Give that mentor something to start thinking about, then they'll be engaged in you, and then they'll want to take it further. Do you see what I mean? Give them something to go, oh, okay, get them engaged, get them involved in that email, short and sweet, get them coming back to you. So then they're like, yes, I want to mentor this person. Inspire them.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. That's a really good point, because
Leave them wanting more.
I'm thinking about the people who are like really shy or like, really like, oh.
I would just say, would be, I mean, don't be so honest that you absolutely sound, desperate. Just say it. Look, this isn't my this doesn't come naturally to me. Um,
Honest.
this doesn't come naturally to me, applying for mentorship. It's not something I feel very comfortable with. I've been told, this is an example, maybe by my family and friends, that I'm maybe not made for illustration, but I just want to test the water and give this one last go. I'm quite shy in person. This is probably reflected in my artwork, but I'd love to see what you think. Would you be open to a conversation with me?
Yeah, and that kind of opens it up. And I feel like
Yeah.
also with Instagram, when you're seeing other people's posts, like it is quite nice because you're seeing that post anyway. You might as well just give your natural reaction to it, and then that creates naturally also a rapport with someone, I guess.
And that's where I say, I mean, find something that you've seen of theirs or that they're involved in, and just that little indirect, a little nod, so they know that you've actually engaged with what they're doing, rather than just a cold-faced, oh, I need a mentor, and show some vulnerability. One of mine is, I am a Luddite. I'm terrible with technology, and I always pray to, I'm like, oh, if I'm doing a talk or I did something with the found students earlier, I was like, oh, just one moment. And because also it softens, because we all have these, that in my mind, perfection doesn't exist. Perfection is a word that has been modeled by society to make everybody feel slightly pants about themselves. We're all just extended versions of ourselves on different days of the week.
100%. 100%. Are there any other tips or key things early stage author illustrators need to focus on like to make a successful career in publishing?
So practically, I would say have you don't need a lot of pages, but a page of one or two, sorry, a website with maybe one or two pages, just with a little bit about and a few images, but less is more. So strong images and a strong statement about who you are and what you do, right? Uh, if you do have an Instagram page, again, less is more. Don't have 100 images that are awful on it. Just have 2 or 3 really strong images. Backing that up, I would have a wish list. No one ever needs to see this, of agencies and agents. So remember, agencies, the bigger agencies, have agents within them. So also do your agent research as much as your agency research, because you might want to be with that agency, but actually it's about the agent you're working with as much as the agency. And obviously then there's smaller agencies like myself where you are working direct, but really have a clear vision. Do you want a global reach of however many thousand clients across all genres and maybe get more jobs, but the jobs aren't maybe as long standing as maybe working with a smaller agency that has less clients, but maybe the value of what they're doing is slightly different to that of the bigger agencies. So those are 3 things. So make sure those 3 things. Also, you're never going to be ready to approach anyone, right? But just go for it. Because actually, it's once you've taken that leap and done it, that's the hardest part. If you then approach 5 people and get 4 rejections, you've made that first step. So, and always choose a day when you make those choices when you're feeling good. And I always say, anything I ever do is always based on the fact that I've probably done something every day that gets me moving. And that adrenaline, I then come back and I'm like, right, I'm going to do that now. And I do it. So also use your personal life and your personal space to assist that process, because you're human.
Yeah. And then start before, well, what I've also learned these couple of years is it is start before you're ready. Put yourself in that kind of deep end, create what you've already created, present it, and then learn from it.
And what's the worst that can happen? Someone can say no.
Yeah. So there's yeah, I truly do believe we are either winning or learning. There's no such thing as failing.
Yeah.
You just try, you give it a go, you tweak it. Everything is figure outable. What's the worst that can happen? Because that is all part of the process.
And anyone that judges you for that is not the type of person you want to be associated with anyway.
Yeah. Red flag, right? Red flag.
Red flag. All the flags.
So, what makes a successful author illustrator picture book portfolio and candidate?
So I would have, again, going back to less is more. So I would have 10 to 12 really strong pieces when you're presenting, then say 30 pieces that don't really feel finished or worked in. With those pieces, I would then have any little, say 2 to 3 little sketchbooks. So as you're presenting, you can then say, oh, the evolution of this was, or the evolution of that was. Have a couple of little printed bits that maybe, you can offer to the client that they can be writing on, which is engaging them in that process. There's a human exchange. When you're showcasing your work, if you get another person exchanged, even if they're writing on a notebook that you've given them, they're already invested before they even know it. So I would think about that. Don't always go down the business card route. If you're going to print something out, print out a postcard, print out a little I don't know, get a little set of coasters or something, rather than, because a business card is just a bit, if you're going to do a business card, put an image on it. If you're going to do a business card, make it a different shape. You come home from the fairs and they're just all these business cards, but there's nothing about them. Like if I turned it over and I'm like, oh, actually, this is a reminder of, make a point of difference, be memorable. Also, ask the question when you're approaching or applying, what is it you're looking for? Like, am I the right fit? There's no bad in asking that. You know, what are you seeing as in the person you're going to approach? You know,
Yeah,
um,
they're really good points. And what are the current like artists do you represent at the moment, Lucy?
the current style I have is everything from a sort of a really set non-fiction look. So if we're talking about ancient history, or if we're talking about a look of a jungle animal, or if we're so we can really drill down into non-fiction and what non-fiction is, or if we're really looking for something that wants a really whimsical sort of approach where we've got the stars and the sky, and then we've got a really strong character, and we're like, where is that strong character going? Who is that strong character? And what's going to happen to that strong character? I've then got artists who also are really developing and evolving within graphic novels, which is huge. But within that, when we talk about graphic novels, I feel they've always been quite a male dominated area. I'm now dealing with graphic novels that are much more sort of open, are much more joyous, are much more playful in the way they're panelled, are playing with colours, are playing with concepts, and just the whole concept of what a graphic novel is. In addition to that, I also have my wild cards where I'm like, how will these fit and where will they fit? And the question, if I reverse that, is they shouldn't actually fit anywhere because they exist in their own brilliance by the fact that they make my eyes sparkle. And generally, when I feel that, I will get some publishing director going, oh my gosh, I love that. Who is that? I don't know how to place them, but I'm going to find them somewhere on my list. And that is that moment where you're like, oh my God, this is magical. And I've had one of those recently, and that's the thing that always keeps me inspired as an agent.
Yeah, it's that passion, and then I don't think it's something that you can actually hide. To be honest, it
No,
just
it's something, yeah, you can't, and you never know when it's going to happen either. And that's really magical. My artists, and something else I always, that people say, oh my God, you've got such a range of artists from across the world. When I look at artwork, the nature of the artwork is often inspired by the culture of the soul making the artwork. And that's what's so beautiful, because each artwork tells a very different story about the person that's creating it. And yeah, I love that. There's so many different stories behind my creatives, which yeah, also inspire me. And always great when you're building a bond with a client. They're like, oh, do you know this about my artist, or do you know this? And that creates a different energy.
yeah, I think a lot of it goes beyond what's on the paper as well, isn't it? There's a lot of
Oh
like
yeah,
feeling and energy that goes with it. So
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely.
just to wrap things up, what are your favorite picture books of all time? Or what books do you want to see more of in the industry?
Um, it's really hard because it depends. Uh, it depends in what frame of mind I'm in. Um, and so I have a little boy, and I'm obviously more influenced now than ever by what he loves. So I would say of late, my heart has really been enjoying the world of nonfiction because it gives him something practical to grapple and play with and draw and look at and learn from. And if that's the way I can inspire him and educate him to engage with books, then I think nonfiction has really become in my own heart, has more of a place. I think by my very nature, I'm probably just a massive picture book fan of, you know, fairies and Pegasuses and dragons, because that's the world of Lucy Luddington in her head. I think if you were going to ask me my favourite books of all time, I would have to say it's probably Lord of the Rings, um, because I have my whole world in my head of this forest fantasy, and we all ride round in beautiful outfits on horses chasing dragons for the greater good of man and mankind. And trying to work with people and other tribes to make the world a beautiful place. So that's probably, if you're going to ask me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But if I look in a more practical way at
Mm-hmm.
someone like my son, who would be less into a sort of a more fantasy world, I've really learned to see the value in nonfiction and how that can be life changing.
Is there a particular book
So,
in nonfiction that you?
no, it's going to be more nature, probably.
Mm.
Things that are more nature
Mm.
based.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there's someone. No, I just.
No.
I don't really want. I don't really want to coin it because
Fair.
it puts.
Yeah.
It's. I'm very open. Like the other day, I found myself reading a non-fiction book about snakes,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it made me relook at my relationship with snakes. So
Yeah.
I'm open, but I would say my favourite book of all time would be Lord of the Rings.
Thank you. So, final question is: do you still do mentoring? Where can people find you, and how can they get involved with Luddington Creative?
And this is where I have to take my glasses off. There we go. So yes, I do. I don't openly sing and dance about it because obviously my main daily wonder is my artists and the business of Luddington Creative, and that also being my clients. And anyone that knows me knows I'm very one-to-one, and my response times are pretty immediate. But I do, for my own personal heart, take great pleasure in giving advice and coaching, mentoring, whatever you guys want to call it. I have a waiting list. And I can't make any guarantees, but if people just write to Lucie at luddingtoncreative.co.uk, if they review this discussion today and apply in a manner that we might have spoken about, then who knows, I might email them back and say, hey, guess what? Should we have some time together? And yeah, I'm always happy to help, and I'm known for giving advice and support. So yes, do get in touch.
Thank you so much, Lucie. We'll put all of your details in the description below and on the screen. Thank you so much for your time and wisdom and sharing your golden nuggets. So,
thank you for showing courage and coming and saying, "Can I have a moment?" So you are the epitome of what we're all looking for.
Oh, thank you, Lucie.
All right, ciao, bye.
Thank you for tuning in all the way to the end. I really hope you've enjoyed that interview as much as I enjoyed hosting it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We will try and tackle it together. Thanks for watching. Take care and catch you soon.